This is the next session of EPM Chronicles and Confessions. We've got Ruben Girones here with us. Ruben, can you please introduce yourself and your EPM journey?
Sure. Hi, Tim. Thanks so much for having me here. I've been following closely your prior podcasts, and I'm a big fan. So yeah, it's a pleasure to be here today. So yeah, as you mentioned, my name is Ruben. The pronunciation of the last name is a bit different on Spanish terms. It's Girones, Cruz. But yeah, I've been working on the EPM, CPM industry for about 12 years. I come from a finance background, actually a legal background as well. I have my degree in law and finance. But yeah, for the last 12 years, I've been working with financial technology, sitting together with the finance department, but giving that additional technical point of view to things, right? So yeah, I've been working everywhere: Europe, US, Latin America, and most recently in Asia. And yeah, like enjoying the ride and obviously trying to keep up to speed, of course, with the new set of tools that are shaping the market nowadays, right?
Yeah, fantastic. Next question is kind of a funny one, and my mother still thinks I sell computers. It's very hard for me to explain what I actually do. So have you had any misconceptions when you've explained what you do to others, what you do in terms of the systems you do? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I do have to. I think my parents still don't know what I do, and they keep asking, and the same with friends, and it's really hard because it's not, you cannot explain it in a couple of sentences, right? You need to pretty much explain what the current issues are, and then kind of define the solution as well to give like a proper view of what we do, right? So obviously, if you try to summarize it in one sentence, it kind of lacks of content. So one of the misconceptions that I've probably heard the most is that it's just a way of doing things out of Excel, but with a little bit more of automation, right? So it's kind of well, why don't you use Excel if it's pretty much the same? So obviously, I mean, that's the main thing, and especially not only with like friends or family, but also like with users, like how you have many more years of experience in implementing this type of softwares, and that some users are really a little bit more reluctant to accept this kind of tools, and they actually see it as a more complicated and unnecessary way of doing things, whether Excel could actually do the same job, right? So that has been the biggest misconception. And I honestly believe that it's about like lack of information, because of course, like implementing such a tool, it allows you to do multiple things, not only around the financial and the accounting stuff, but also on the controls that you can establish and things like that. So yeah, this has been the biggest misconception, and has also become a challenge sometimes when it comes to implementing such tools in companies, because it creates let's say an opposite, like some users are actually in opposition of integrating such tools because of that misconception. So.
Fantastic. Yeah. I've worked with you, Ruben, before, and I've seen you're so sharp and one of probably the best consultant I've ever worked with, and multiple systems very quickly, like Anaplan, HFM, OneStream. You really got to the expert level. What has been your toughest EPM challenge?
I think, one of the toughest channels or challenges again, sorry, is also because I'm really passionate about tools. I want to learn all the inner details of each individual tool that I work with. So one of the biggest challenges for me has been to kind of reshape my mind to accept new tools, new softwares, right? So as you mentioned, I come from an Oracle background, but then I moved into, I work with Anaplan, with OneStream, and of course, I just don't want to know the pretty presentations. I want to know all the nitty-gritty details of each tool. So sometimes each tool works with different logics, different structures, and for me, it has been a little bit of a challenge at times to kind of rewire my mind to a different way of doing things, right? Because there is, as you know better than me, nowadays there is multiple different solutions out there. Each of them work with different structures, different architectures, right? Some some tools used cube dimensionality, other tools used a different way of doing things, right? So that has been one of my challenges, to try to kind of understand what each tool does and become an expert in it, right? Because that's my main goal, to become an expert in anything that I do. I mean, I'm trying to do my best. So again, that's one of the biggest challenges that I have so far. Yeah.
Fantastic. What's been your standout EPM success that you can say to yourself, wow, this was my moment?
I mean, for me, it's more of a personal journey, right? I've learned a lot, and that's probably the biggest achievement that I've made. Like to do things that I actually enjoy, to do things that I actually like, to wake up every day and and go to work and do something that I think I'm decent at it. But obviously, when it comes to kind of a consulting life and EPM CPM journey, right? I think one of the biggest challenges, or one of the biggest success stories has been, it was like a few years ago, we had to do like a big implementation across different markets in the Caribbean and Latin America. It was a big acquisition, and you know how acquisitions go, right? There is a part to it that it relates to the integration of systems, right? And it's very challenging, because you have to go to like countries or markets who had never heard about you and never heard about the tool that you're about to implement, and you need to integrate them into like a whole system, a common system, right? And it was really challenging, because it didn't only involve the implementation of a new technology, but it also involved the coordination with markets from different backgrounds, different cultures. Again, it was countries in the Caribbean, countries in Latin America, so different way of different people, different way of looking at things. So it was very challenging. It involved a lot of traveling, a lot of convincing, a lot of understanding of their local ledgers, their local way of doing things, with the sole purpose of integrating everything into one process, right? So it was very fun, very challenging, and yeah, I will say that that's one of the biggest success stories. And of course, that journey for them is still going, right? Because there is more acquisitions, new users coming in, new upgrades of the same tool. So it's a continuous thing, right? I think it never has an end to it. So.
Sure. Thank you so much. What's the most rewarding aspect of EPM to you?
I think for me is the user acceptance, right? To be able to kind of overcome the first issues, the first problems, to be able to change minds, right? Like I mentioned before, where you first come into a project, then some users are more reluctant to kind of change the way they do things, and then when you do a good job, you implement the tool, you automate things, you make things more efficient, you reduce close times by, I don't know, 3-4 days. You see how you actually improve their day-to-day activities, their day-to-day life, because they don't have to sit there for like 5 or 6 hours doing the same thing. They will still have to sit there for 5 or 6 hours, but they can use their time more efficiently. And you see how they come to you and they're very happy, and you can see that you have changed a little bit their their daily routines, and you have made their productivity increase by actually reducing the time that they have to spend doing those minor things that they were major before, and now they're actually minor problems. So yeah, I think user acceptance to the tool, user acceptance of the whole automation, of the whole productivity increase is the most rewarding thing that we can actually get in our job, right? And of course, when you see that companies are doing better thanks to a particular process that you have implemented, is always very rewarding, right? So.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah. So could you share some funny moments in your job career or EPM career?
Yeah, and again, I'm not thinking this out of the blue. I actually made my notes, Tim. So, but yeah, I think one of the best things or one of the funniest things that I remember is, I've done a lot of training and user training as well, and I speak, like, obviously English is not my mother tongue. I speak Spanish and Italian as well, and I had to do some trainings in Spanish and Italian as well. Mostly on Oracle. And I remember trying to actually provide the training to, let's say, Spanish speakers, users, and I didn't know how certain words were, like certain technical terms were in Spanish, right? Like I remember like trying to translate like consolidation or elimination or minority interest into Spanish, and I actually didn't know. I actually didn't know how the menus were, the Spanish word or the different menus or different navigation links within the application. So I was actually like mixing English and Spanish all the time. And it became quite apparent that I was just very used to just use English language when it comes to, software and applications. And I had to actually had invested a little bit more time in getting more prepared in all these Spanish or Italian terms, but I didn't really know to the extent that some users in other regions like Latin America, they use the like HFM or FCCS in a complete Spanish version, and every word is different, every term is different. So if you go there, even if you're a Spanish speaker, if you don't know the terms, it's really hard to actually provide a decent and easygoing training. So that was quite funny. Obviously, I took I learned a few lessons from the first couple of trainings, and I came more prepared to the following ones. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. So, I've been a freelancer for a long time. I love it. I love doing it. I can't really think of anything else to do at the moment. But what inspired you to go into freelancing and contracting?
I think what initially made me actually move into the contracting freelancing world is actually the capacity to work in multiple and diversified projects, right? Pretty much on your own terms. Let's say you can actually squeeze yourself a little bit here and there to kind of fit into different projects. You can manage your time more efficiently. You still have a reporting line, but it's more blurry, right? Because you don't have a particular structure you need to work on. You actually can spread your time accordingly to different projects or clients. If you are good enough, you can actually work on projects that you actually like, you actually enjoy, and you can pick and choose different clients. So I think that was what motivated me the most, to be able to work in different different industries, different projects, expand a little bit the different areas that you can work on, and also the freedom in a way, right? You're still attached to a project, but you have more freedom to kind of work on different areas, and then you're responsible of your own deliverables, right? It's more your name on the project end, right? So it's a different feeling to it, right? And again, yeah. If you're lucky enough, sometimes you're able to learn new technologies as well. So yes, it's a different concept, but again, it's mostly about the diversification of activities that you can perform as a freelancer versus working for an end client, right? So.
Sure. Fantastic. Yeah. So as I said before, you're skilled on multi vendors, multi systems. How do you keep abreast of the actual competition, whether it's vendors, consultancies, and trends, competition out there? How do you keep it?
Well, I mean, I actually follow you a lot, Tim. So you are actually one of the contributors to this community, and thank you for doing that, because you are always on top of new articles, news. You have contributed to all the different community groups that we have for EPM technology. So thanks to that, we have created like a group of people who actually we share and knowledge, and we share the latest trends and stuff. So that has been a big contributor to kind of keeping up to the latest technologies, latest updates. Obviously, I follow LinkedIn a lot. There is a lot of things going on in there.
Yeah.
There is webinars. I'm trying to also do certifications as much as possible to keep myself up to speed,
Yes.
at least on the technologies that I work on. And again, this is a niche market. We're still a small community, so
Yes.
I'm in constant contact not only with yourself, but also with other contractors, other consultants, which might happen to work with different technologies. So we are always able to kind of share knowledge and skills. So yeah, as much as possible, I'm trying to keep myself up to the latest updates, because you know better than me how important this is in this industry, right?
Definitely. Also, as I said, there are people coming into industry or thinking about coming into the industry, and juniors. What piece of advice do you give to them, being such a expert yourself at the moment, in terms of what to do and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think for people who are interested in this particular field, I will tell them like the two key things that I think they should actually focus on. Like if I could go back in time and and maybe put those into practice, I would have become a better professional. I think it's important to actually combine both sides, the accounting and financial side and the programming technical side. Because some people actually come from an accounting and financial background. They're very good consultants, but they might still lack that kind of technical thinking. And then the other way around as well. Some people think it's just a technical thing to do, and they become very proficient at the programming and technical skills, but they forget the accounting and financial side. So I will probably just tell people who actually want to work in this industry to try to keep up to speed in these two fields and try to master those two fields, because the possibilities are limitless, really, if you actually master these two areas. So yeah, that's something that I will tell them. Obviously, to be very interested about this, about helping companies, and also to make sure that they have that type of personality that allows them to continue challenging themselves, because this is a job that is going to change in 5 years. It's going to be different than today. It's not a job that you can just sit on for 10, 15 years. You need to always try to kind of adjust to the new time. So it requires a very special or unique personality, right, or of way of thinking to be able to work in this industry, right?
Yes, thank you so much. So the industry is evolving, it's going to change, and it's changing. What do you think will happen in the next 5 years to our industry?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think the artificial intelligence is going to take a part of it, right? There is going to be more predictive modeling, more automation of tasks that are currently being developed by the software engineers, by the engineers, right? There is going to be a lot of more, I will say, more pre-built stuff. And it's going to be more about understanding the functional part, and then the tool is going. I think the tool is going to lose a little bit of, let's say, headline, not in terms of like the tool itself, but the amount of work that the consultant is going to have to do technically within the tool, right? It's going to become more about functionally shaping the tool towards the needs of the client, right? Because again, this artificial intelligence and is going to automate a lot of the stuff that we're actually currently doing manually, right? So that's one thing that I think is going to change. Then obviously I see like the birth of new technologies. Like if you look at 10 years ago and you look at now, there is so many new players now. So I think there is going to be a fierce competition in the future. It's going to be like 5 or 10 more big players to come in the market, offering new ways of looking at things, whether it's for consolidation or for planning. But it's going to be more. It's going to be more widespread in terms of like the amount of players in the market. Yeah, I think it's going to be more. There's going to be more and more companies coming in with more like interactive stuff, like more dashboarding, things that are more visual. Obviously, like with the use of the mobile devices as well, is going to increase in importance in the next few years. So yeah, I mean, it's very challenging, very interesting. And I think it's a lot more to come. And you have seen the trend over the last 5 years. I think it's going to continue to grow exponentially, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic. So thank you so much, Ruben, for today. And it's great chatting to you. And good luck, and talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you so much, Tim, for having me. And yeah, thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.